So it appears that Donald Trump and the USA are trying to apologize to South Korea. That's the subject of today's video. Let me show you the headlines. U.S. diplomat expresses regret over immigration raid on Korean workers. And the person they sent, it's not Rubio. This guy, I think his name is Christopher Landau. I think he's like the second at the Department of State, so not the head person, right? Not Rubio. And this is even also Donald Trump. He's even sort of tweeting out just a few minutes ago, is it an apology or not? I mean, you know how Donald Trump speaks. Let me just read the words. This is from Donald Trump regarding the Korean situation, basically. I don't want to frighten off or disincentivize investment into America by outside countries or companies. We welcome them. We welcome their employees, and we are willing to proudly say we will learn from them and do even better than them at their own game. So is that an apology? I mean, the best way to think about Donald Trump is like he's that abusive husband, that abusive boyfriend. He's like, oh, baby, I didn't really mean it. Please come back, right? And, you know, it's also kind of like, and this is real, because Korea has invested so much in the USA, it's like when you get married to someone and you both got your name on the house, and one person's abusive and you're like, I got to get out of this relationship, but I got money tied into this said thing. How do I get out? What do I do? And you guys know this, or you know, we have kids together. I really want to get out, but what about the kids? But this person's like really bad. I don't, you know, and you guys know this. It's hard to do business with Donald Trump. You just can't. But again, your money's tied up with this stuff. And then the way Trump is talking, like his own language, we'll read it again. I don't want to frighten off or disincentivize investment into America by outside countries or companies. We welcome them. We welcome their employees, and we're willing to proudly say we will learn from them, okay, and do even better than them at their own game. So it's just, it's a weird thing to take in, because I think here is you're admitting that other companies and countries know more than you on something, right? Because you're saying, hey, we want to learn from you, but then you start talking about how we're going to end up being better than you. It seems strange. Do you call this an apology? What do you call this? This is more. We'll read more of it together, and we'll try to work out what the heck's going on with the USA. When foreign companies who are building extremely complex products, machines, and various other, quote, things, okay, I don't want to put things in quotes, but that's Trump, come into the United States with massive investments. So, hey, yes, we're talking about a lot of money, okay. I want them to bring their people of expertise for a period of time to teach. How do you take this stuff seriously? I mean, so they send the second in command at the Department of State to, you know, basically apologize, and then Trump tweets out kind of apology, kind of not, but just still kind of ordering you around in a way is how I'm reading this. I'm just showing you Trump's words. You know, please come here, teach our people, kind of stuff. From Trump, I want them to bring their people of expertise for a period of time to teach and train our people how to make these very unique and complex products as they phase out of our country and back into their land. Phase out, okay? So come teach us and then phase out, I guess. It's hard to understand Trump, you know. I mean, we try to decipher this stuff all the time. Okay, we'll see what else you got. If we didn't do this, all of that massive investment will never come in the first place. Didn't do what? What didn't we do? Because like we're talking about before, is the foreign companies build extremely complex products and machines and various other things, right? So, you know, Samsung, LG, you guys know this. I mean, for those, or maybe for those who don't know, you know, many people all around the world, not just Americans, all around the world, have LG, Samsung products, Hyundai products, Kia products in your house, at your home. And, you know, chips are in a lot of things. Like Apple uses a lot of Korean parts. You guys may or not know that. It's like they're tightly integrated. But the way he talks about like phase out of our country, like you're saying, okay, come teach us and then we'll phase you out, erase you. Is that, it's the, like, who takes this deal? Okay, let's see some more. And also, you have to put this in context. The Americans, the deal they were proposing to Korea was invest in USA and you'll get 90% of the profit until you get your investment back, okay? So basically, invest in USA, you'll get your money back. That's kind of what they're saying, well, theoretically. But then after you get your initial investment back, then USA wants 90% of the profits. So then there's not really much incentive to work with USA if that's a deal you're trying to make. And the Koreans have been saying, we're not going to sign anything that's completely, unreasonable. Why would we do that? Or we're not going to sign anything that's not going to benefit us. And I've showed you this stuff on the channel. So this crap that Trump is saying, okay, let's see what else. If we didn't do this, all of that massive investment will never come in the first place, okay? Chips, semiconductors, computers, ships, trains, and so many of our products that we have to learn from others how to make, okay? So literally Trump is saying we don't know how to do this stuff, but not anymore. Okay, he changed his mind here. For example, shipbuilding, where we used to build a ship a day, and now we barely build a ship a year. I don't want to frighten off or disincentivize investment into America by outside countries or companies. We welcome them, we welcome their employees, and we're willing to proudly say we will learn from them and even do better at their own game, in quotes, I guess, sometime in the not too distant future. So, well, I'm curious what you guys make of this stuff. This is actually our news here in Korea. I just want to show you. So basically, they just keep repeating over and over again. Go to America, they arrest our workers. They arrest some of our elite workers, like well-trained technicians. This was a drawing from the inside the detention center. I showed you guys in the last video on that. So they actually took notes on everything, because you arrested people who are, highly educated, highly trained. They took pictures, like they document all the stuff that the Trumpers were doing, and they're planning lawsuits, etc., which I'm full support of. And so this is the question. Oh, and this is an interesting one as well. There was an English thing they passed around that the people, because they don't speak, some of them don't speak English well, and plus it's words that you may not necessarily know, that they guess they had guns there, and like people felt like they were, if you sign it, you'll get released, which was not what it was. So it was basically signing stuff under duress is what they were reported. And then this guy's like coming to apologize for all the stuff that the ICE did. The whole thing is I'll just be frank. The whole thing stinks. So I think it's a half-ass apology, in my opinion. You're not sending even the top person. You're sending this person like, who are you? Orlando, I don't know, like I said, second. And then you have to also put it in context that the Americans, the way they're talking these days, the aggression and the violence is getting worse. So
they have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right.
So according to Kill Me, that's over on Fox News. Just kill him. And I can go on and on about that, but I'll just say the rhetoric is getting worse. I mean, you can see it right there. Elon Musk seems to be inciting violence also. And so the reason why I'm showing you guys this stuff is that if you're Korea, and we can see everything that you guys see, but the thing is, it's like, do you want to do business with these kind of people? That's the question. And then you saw Trump's sort of apology, not apology, whatever you want to call it. Please come train our people. Baby, please come back, basically what ends up being. And then I'm going to be better than you. Like, what? And then this is Elon Musk actually now. He's talking about the situation in Britain and like violence. Listen.
Violence is going to come to you. You will have no choice. You're in a fundamental situation here where whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. You either fight back or you die. And that's the truth.
Today, Elon, I think the British public are telling the world that they're ready to fight back.
Good. Yes.
Come on, Great Britain.
So that's Elon basically, in my opinion, promoting violence and rallying up. This is like a right-wing crowd. And you have to put this again all in context. Is you have, whatever word you want to use. If you want to use a racist, you can. If you want to use the word nativist, you can. However you want to say it. Anti-immigrant, you can. Anti-foreigner, whatever words you want to use. But you have this groups of people in various places, right? This is the UK, for example, or the USA, that are, do you want to come work with these kind of people? And now I also want to make sure that it's clear that any of these situations, this isn't everyone in UK. Elon Musk doesn't represent everyone in USA or whatever, but there's a strong contingent of this kind of, dialogue. That's the problem. And it bleeds into how people think about how you say treat the Korean workers or do business with foreign countries, like how you treat others. That's what it all ends up bleeding into. And the stuff that these people say, or the kill me guy on Fox, just shows what's in their heart. Let me show you an example of one. This was the Cox guy, the governor of Utah, what he was saying when they were talking about who the shooter is for Charlie Kirk. Let's listen to what he has to say.
This bad stuff happens. And for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for. Just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here.
Yeah, it did happen there. And we actually watched this live on the live stream together, and I talked about it immediately right after this. That I thought that was the weirdest part. There was the two weird parts: was the Valhalla thing that Cash was talking about, and then the Cox thing about like, oh, I was just hoping it would be a foreigner or someone from out of state. But this shows you just this is how it is, that there's a certain population in the USA, what percentage, is it 20%, 30%, whatever, who harbor these kind of feelings, right? Really negative against foreigners, etc. And this is, or it's not just foreigners, people aren't white, basically, is what it boils down to. This is actually our news in Korea. We do see the Charlie Kirk stuff and the killing. We see it. We see the identification of the shooter. Now, what I want to talk about, though, which you may not realize, is that when we show the stuff, right, the question that's going through Koreans' mind is like, do we want to do business in a place like this? Like, what it ends up being, and it's funny because I never thought I would see it this way, is that I'm here in Korea, and when they show the stuff on the news of what you say, it just feels like this is a developing nation that you're watching, and it's unstable. The same way that Americans, if you watch something happen in another country and you're just like, well, I'm never going there. It's like they're completely unstable. They're shooting each other. There's riots everywhere. Do you guys know if you guys know what I'm saying? Like if you're in USA watching news from somewhere else and you see a place that seems like unsafe and you would never go there, that's how it feels like here in Korea. When we see the news, you're like, oh my God, look at their crazy president. I'm not going there ever. That's how we read it. And you see people that getting shot, and then you're like, okay. And they describe Charlie Kirk as being far right here, so they don't hide that who this guy is. So the whole thing is just not a good situation, is the best way to put it. And then then you go back to Trump's tweet. Is it apology? Not apology? Let me pull that up here. And that's why I mentioned it's like that abusive boyfriend or husband that wants to get back together after they treated you poorly. And I also want to bring this up, and many people in the comments have mentioned also, just imagine, just put yourself in someone else's shoes, but just imagine if you're sitting at home in America and, let's say IBM or Cisco or whatever big company in USA, could be Ford, Chevy, doesn't matter. They go and build a plant in India, or they go and build a plant in, China, wherever, different place, right? Vietnam, whatever. And just imagine if local government, say, we use Vietnam example, let's say the Vietnamese authorities come in, they arrest like 400 Americans, they chain them up, they chain their ankles, put them in detention for a week, and then you find out that the Americans were treated pretty poorly, the food was bad, 70 people to a room. Like how would Americans feel about that, right? And they didn't provide any English translators, right? And so everything's in Vietnamese, and they got guns and masks. Just put yourself in that situation. Like how would Americans treat that? And, people, I think already, right? I think already, but I just want to put it in a different point of view, because for some people, when they see things on screen, for some people, not, people may say watch my channel, but they see them on screen, they're just like, oh, well, people that don't look like me or don't speak my language, I don't have to identify with them. They're different. But this is where I tell you is you're wrong. I'm telling you guys, like, we're all human beings. And just because someone speaks a different language or looks different than you doesn't mean they're not human. And so that's why I try to show you guys like everything that we see over here, how it relates to understanding the world. It's different, and the more that you travel, and then this is just Korean perspective. I promise you, like I've seen in comments, people in Canada are like, man, now we know how You know, now Koreans know why Canada is so angry at USA, because I think there might be Canadians still in detention. People have mentioned that. And it's I mean, this is multiple countries. And then you got the situation, say, how they treated, say, Abreu Garcia, where they're talking about now deporting him to like not even his home country, like somewhere in Africa, these kind of things. Guys, I really know. I look at everything. Or you could talk about how, remember, Americans blew up that little boat outside of the shore of Venezuela, any number of things. Like, it's just, it all adds up, but it all goes back to the starting point of, is America sincere about working honestly with other people, or is it always about, I'm an abusive, you know, person, and I'm going to abuse you all I want, and you just have to be with me because you got no other choice? But that's just not the case anymore. It's not the case anymore. Look around the world. There are other places that you can do business with. You do not have to do business with America. And so this is where it is a transitioning period, and you have demographic changes in America. It's a whole complex stuff going on here. Now, I do want to give some positive notes, though. It doesn't have to be this angry, violent all the time. Leadership matters quite a lot. Leadership matters. And, you know, my point of view is going to be different from other stuff you'll see on YouTube or whatever, because in USA, it's just a lot of screaming, a lot of kicking, a lot of yelling. And also, it's just a sort of the characteristic of USA. There's 50 states. It's you know, a big country. And so then you have some people who have never been to other states, or even left their home state, or even their home city. There's people like that in USA. And so they actually don't know what it's like to be in other places, you know? And it could go for any number of ways. Sometimes people think it only means certain kind of American. No, it can come from any number of ways. I'll give you an example. I grew up in Oregon, and when I moved to New York City, I met people who didn't know how to swim. I know, I'm using that example because it's just something I just never occurred to me, right? Because it wasn't necessarily required in their education. And if you live in a big city like in New York, swimming pools would be kind of expensive in terms of land. It's just not something that they necessarily do. Or you'll meet people like, for example, it's very common here in Korea where young people don't necessarily have a driver's license because the transportation's so good. So why would I bother even buying a car at all? It's just not necessary, right? So these like small things that you wouldn't necessarily know. Whereas like if you're a kid from, say, Iowa, for example, you grow up on a farm. You guys don't know, I did farm work in Oregon. Kids are driving cars at like age 12, 13, stuff like that. Now, it's not legal to do it on their farm, whatever, but no one really cares that much. And then when you go on the road, some legally, then I think the age is as young as 14, but like you would never know these things unless you've been to these kind of places. I'm using just different examples. The point being, though, is that when you travel around just within your own country, even towns are going to be different. You know, my wife has a friend who's a Korean, married someone from France. They live in Germany, and it's kind of funny because, you know, the person from France, he's from, not from Paris, but from like a, you know, smaller city. And he's like, I don't like the people in Paris. I prefer, you know, the southern part. And then they live in Germany. I really like Germany better. But the point I'm trying to say is, like, if you've only been to Paris, you don't know how other people in France are. Every country is diverse. The world is diverse. But when you start to meet other people, it becomes more human. Like the stuff you see on TV, people see on YouTube, you start to realize, like, wow, these are like real people. And you'll get a sense of like the world can work. I'm just telling you, just open your hearts, open your minds. And I know I don't like to show you too much of the Trumpy stuff because frankly, these people are not good people. I'll just be frank with you guys, but I do want to show it just to address what that stuff is. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd love to hear yours, and I'll catch you all in the next video.